Hey, it's Anne-Marie with Speak Confident English. You and I both know that for a successful job interview in English, it's essential to clearly demonstrate your expertise. One way you can do that is by using the right phrasal verbs in English. Phrasal verbs add depth and precision to your statements. As a result, you're able to better convey ideas, past actions, and your overall experience. Moreover, phrasal verbs offer versatility, so you can communicate concisely. All of this allows you to better communicate in a job interview and stand out with recruiters. To help you communicate your skills and experience with confidence, in this lesson today, you're going to learn 10 common phrasal verbs for job interviews in English. But first, if you don't already know, I'm Anne-Marie, an English confidence and fluency coach. Everything I do is designed to help you get the confidence you want for your life and work in English. That, of course, includes job interviews. So while you're here, make sure you subscribe to my Speak Confident English channel so you never miss one of my confident English lessons. Let's get started right away with our list of 10 common phrasal verbs for job interviews. With each one, you'll learn its meaning, and I'll share a real-life, measurable example sentence that will resonate with recruiters and help you stand out in the interview process. Now, if you want to take your English job interview skills to the next level, I recommend you get my free Masterclass training on how to respond to "Tell me about yourself." This is the most common way for interviewers to start the interview process. In that free masterclass, here's what you'll learn. First, why do interviewers begin with "Tell me about yourself?" and what are some alternatives that you're likely to hear? Second, you'll learn a simple formula you can follow to quickly develop your response and demonstrate your professionalism and experience. Lastly, you'll learn 3 fail-proof strategies so you can prepare your response from start to finish. I'll leave a link to that free masterclass training on how to respond to "Tell me about yourself" in the notes below the video. With this lesson, I want you to stick with me to the end because I do have some questions for you to practice these phrasal verbs, and I'm going to share with you some tips to help you remember them so that you can use them in the moment of speaking. Phrasal verb number 1 is to carry out. This means to complete or perform a task or a responsibility. And here's an example sentence. In my previous role, I carried out market research to better understand customer preferences in order to improve our social media outreach. The second phrasal verb on our list, to take on. To take on means to accept or assume responsibility for something. For example, I took on a leadership role in managing 5 of our team employees for our largest ad campaign. Now, before I go on to phrasal verb number 3, I am sharing with you one example sentence for each phrasal verb. If you'd like to see more examples of how to use these phrasal verbs in measurable real-life examples, be sure to visit this lesson at my Speak Confident English website, where I've added additional example sentences you can follow. And now, phrasal verb number 3, to bring about. To bring about means to cause or initiate a change or result. For example, I brought about a cost-saving measure that reduced operating expenses by 12%. Number 4, to follow up. To follow up means to communicate or pursue further action after an initial contact. In other words, you've already met someone either via email or in person, and you're taking another step to initiate some action or an opportunity to meet again in the future. For example, I followed up with potential clients for market research, and the result of that research led to improvements on our user platform. Phrasal verb number 5, to set up. This means to establish or organize something. For example, I took the initiative to set up and manage an efficient filing system, allowing us to improve our file organization and retrieval. Number 6, to carry through. To carry through means to complete a task or a project successfully. For example, I carried through a complex project from conception to implementation, meeting all the necessary deadlines. And number 7 on our list, to work out. This means to resolve or find a solution to some problem or challenge you're experiencing. For example, I led my team through working out logistical issues to ensure our event went smoothly. As a quick reminder, if you want more examples of how to use these phrasal verbs in real-life sentences, be sure to check out this lesson at my website. And with that, let's go on to phrasal verb number 8, to bring in. To bring in means to introduce or implement something. For example, I brought in innovative ideas to streamline our process. And as a result, we improved productivity in our data call center. Number 9 is to step up. This means to increase your level of effort or responsibility. For example, I stepped up as a team leader during a colleague's absence to ensure we completed our project on time. And now number 10, to look into. This means to examine or investigate something. For example, as part of my role, I looked into customer complaints to identify opportunities for improvement. Now, with these 10 phrasal verbs you can use to precisely communicate your expertise in a job interview in English, I have 2 tips for you and some recommendations for how to remember what you've learned. First, it's important that in any job interview, it's important to provide statements that are tangible or measurable. Not only does this help you showcase your abilities, skills, and know-how, it also makes your statements more compelling, helping you stand out among your competitors. And as you may have noticed, many of the examples I shared with you today included measurable details. For example, increasing profits by 12% or reducing operating expenses by 20%, leading a team of 5. My second tip, remember to adapt these phrasal verbs to your specific areas of expertise and your accomplishments. One way you can do that is by sharing your own example sentences, and that leads me directly into how to remember these new phrasal verbs. I know it's difficult to learn and remember new vocabulary. There are 2 keys to helping you do that successfully. Number 1, when you learn new phrasal verbs, learn them in context. And that's exactly what you've done here in this lesson. What that means is rather than just learn a specific phrasal verb and its definition, it's important to see how that phrasal verb is used in a real-life example sentence or a real-life scenario. Here we have focused on how to use all 10 of these phrasal verbs in statements that might be used in a job interview in English. And again, if you want more examples, you can visit this lesson at my Speak Confident English website. The second key to remembering new vocabulary is to practice actively. Use these phrasal verbs in your own speaking and your own writing. That means going beyond watching this lesson. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to choose 2 or 3 of these phrasal verbs that apply to your area of expertise and adapt the sentences to your background. I want you to try using those phrasal verbs in your own example sentences. You can always share those sentences with me in the comment section below. While you do that, I recommend you also review examples from other students. Doing so will broaden your understanding of how these phrasal verbs are used and give you new ideas for how you might use each of these phrasal verbs to talk about your know-how, your skill, your abilities, and your accomplishments. With that, if you found today's lesson helpful to you, I would love to know, and you can tell me in one very simple way. Give this lesson a thumbs up here on YouTube, and while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss one of my Confident English lessons. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.